Hello everyone. I hope this video finds you in good health. Today I'm going to sketch the portrait of the rock. So I'm going to share my personal procedures and methods with you. The art material I'm using is the graphite pencils, brushes, erasers, and this is the powder. Let's begin. Firstly, I'm creating a base layer using my B pencil. And for the blending purpose, I'm using dry tissue paper. Remember, the surface of tissue paper should be very smooth. One more thing that is actually very important. Be very focused on the pressure you are providing to your pencil every time you are shading the areas. Always try to focus on the reference image. Where are the darker tones, you have to apply good pressure on the pencil. And wherever is the lighter tones, provide a light pressure to your pencil so it may not create darker values on that particular area. As you can see that I have layered the area using the same pencil. Now I'm using the 6B pencil to create the darker values and adding the details to the drawing. I'm also using the blending stem for the little areas so I can blend them easily without removing the excess of graphite from the surface. Because tissue paper mostly removes the excess of graphite from the paper and gives a very lighter and smooth tones. The main tip is always try to observe and try to improve your observing skills if you want to be a very good artist. So let's discuss about the powder which I am using. This powder is my personal experiment. This powder is actually the combination of chalk, white chalk, graphite and charcoal. Chalk provides a very smooth layer and white chalk is actually very lighter, so I added charcoal and graphite into the powder. Then it became a grey tone powder. I use this powder in the layering method. Now I'm focusing on the reference image and creating the tones, the lighter and darker tones step by step. Coming towards the pros and firstly outlining the area so it may not fade away in the process of shading. Now by observing the reference image very clearly, I'm creating the details into the drawing. What is the layering method? For this method, you have to use a lighter tone pencil. If you are creating a lighter tone drawing, then you will use HB pencil. But if your reference image is in a darker tone, you will start from the B pencil. And afterwards, you will start upgrading your grades of pencils. After creating a one layer with graphite pencil, lighter tone pencil, you will blend that layer thoroughly. For this purpose, you can use three things: a tissue paper, blending stem, or a dry brush. I personally prefer tissue paper, but not even a dry brush because it somehow leaves the strokes of pencil as it is on the paper. But the tissue paper does not leave any stroke remaining. I will also not prefer the blending stem because somehow, somewhere it leaves patches on the paper. What actually a blending stem does? It picks up the excess of graphite from the surface of the paper and let the graphite stuck onto its own surface. And when it will capture the excess of graphite onto its surface, it will start leaving the patches on the paper without giving a good smooth blending experience. Till now I have created the eye with the same layering procedure and I'm still making the layers with the pencil. After every layer, I'm using this powder to give it a very smooth and fixed look. Now I'm moving towards the nose. Firstly, I layered it with the lighter grade pencil and then afterwards I uses the 2B pencil for the darker values on it. And now I'm moving towards the next eye. Whoever wants a very good experience with the shading process, I recommend layering method because it will give you very fabulous experience of shading. However, it is a little time consuming, but still the results are just fabulous. As you can see that I am layering it step by step to create details, deep details into my drawing. I have used monozer eraser for the sharp and thin texture on the skin. As you can see, I'm using a perfection pen and tapping it on the paper to create the little dots, which are actually becoming a form of skin texture. I have also used the electric eraser for the very sharp and extra light highlights. Where the skin texture is fade, I'm using the perfection pencil. And where the skin texture is very highlighted, I'm using the electric eraser. I personally appreciate the function of electric eraser because it actually extracts away all the amount of graphite or charcoal from the paper. Now where the skin texture was fade, I again blend the area because I have created extra highlights. Till now it's looking very good. Same thing repeatedly, just create layers, just clear the details, just create the highlights after every layer. Now moving towards the forehead and creating the skin texture over there, I'm using the perfection pencil because the skin texture over there is somehow fade and it's very light, not very sharp and detailed. Using the electric eraser to create the highlights in the particular area where the skin texture was actually very highlighted. Moving towards the upper lip area now and creating the little details with a 12B pencil here, and also creating the highlights, again creating layers. The procedure is actually the same, you can see in the video. Now I'm giving the outline to the teeth. Try to avoid 12B pencil for the darker areas. However, it is actually very dark, but it will provide a very shiny effect on the paper that is actually not good for the drawing. Instead, use 8B pencil because it is, however, lighter in providing the shiny effect, but still gives the satisfactory depth. As I have used the HB pencil in between the teeth, lips area where there is a very hollow space there. Now again creating a base layer with the B pencil and then using the 4B pencil for the darker areas. Now again giving the details into my drawing. As you can see, I have used the blending stem in the neck portion for the blending purpose and it created the patches on the surface. That's why I normally not prefer the blending stem, especially for covering the larger areas. For the dark areas near the chin and the jawline, I have used the 8B pencil and 6B pencil. Now creating a thin and little details on the area of chin with the same procedure I have already described earlier. Again giving the details to the chin and now creating the skin texture over there using the electric pencil. The key to the perfection is observation. I always say you have to improve your observation skills if you want to be a great artist. Again, I have created the base layer using the 4B pencil. Why I use 4B pencil over here? Because the neck tone was very dark. And if I use B pencil and start creating layers step by step, upgrading my pencils, then it will actually take a lot of time and my video will become very long and boring. And I don't want it to get boring. So I just used 4B pencil for the first layer. Now I'm using 6B pencil for adding some more details into the drawing and creating darker layers. As you can see, I'm using tissue paper for the blending process here. Why I used tissue here? Because the area was very wide and I don't want any extra pencil strokes on my paper or any other patches. I want a very smooth effect. Now I'm creating the details using the 4B pencil on the skin. Creating straight and curvy lines and now creating the highlights, sharp highlights with the mono eraser. Where the highlights were little fade according to reference photo, I have used the Perfection pencil for the highlights. Again adding the details. Now I'm going to create the sharp highlights with the electric eraser. It's almost going to complete. Now I'm using the 6B pencil for the shirt area because the shirt is black. Even for the shirt, I have used the layering method. First the 6B pencil and then 8B and then create the depth with 12B. And this is the final result. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe if you like my little sweet tips. Goodbye. Hope to see you next time.